this very powerful ad, the Republican Jewish Coalition, that was all over the airwaves. Yeah. A bunch of women sitting around, Jewish women, just saying, I can't stand him, but I felt like we were supporting Israel and we were stronger and we were tougher. And I think that resonates with people.
Nah, exile these people. Exile them. Ridicule them. I'm sorry. You should not be this comfortable. You cannot be this wrong and this comfortable at the same time. I don't care if you have a prominent position in mainstream media. No. That's fucking bullshit, man. That's bullshit. She didn't go hard enough on Israel? What the fuck? These people have allowed twice for a fucking fascist takeover of the country that has set in motion events that are creeping America towards full tilt Hitlerian politics. Okay? Twice now, they have enabled this. I'm done with this shit, dude. I'm fucking done with this shit. Holy fuck. Not a shred of evidence cited. These pundits probably aren't even aware that 61% of Americans across the board support an arms embargo on Israel, and that undecided voters in key swing states were 34 to 39% more likely to vote for Harris if she supported an embargo. But we shouldn't care. We shouldn't expect these pundits to care about actual facts. They are determined to ignore the reasons for their failures and just blame everyone else in perpetuity.
Fear about Israel not being protected. There was never a response from the campaign on that, which I thought was a big mistake. Amanda Berman from Zioness had to raise money running her own ads trying to fight back alone. That didn't work. So, but listen, you tied her to the economy, you tied her to Biden, you tied her to weird, and it was not a good enough
I agree with everything you're saying. I just didn't want to engage in the autopsy before before we've called the race and before she dropped out. But you know, one thing on that, the answer on I can't think of anything offhand about where she would differ with Biden was disastrous, and there's no doubt about it. The question is what motivated it, and whether she just felt she did not want to.
Loyalty.
I'm seeing a lot of blame for the far left. Oh, I really hope. I mean, look, the Democratic Party is never going to learn this lesson. I don't think that the media is going to present this as a viable alternative because they obviously still want to get fucking ad contracts to the tune of millions of dollars from these big businesses.
Yes.
But I really hope that there are normal human beings out there who recognize what is going on to simply say that this country has shifted to the right without making an accurate assessment, without looking at actual issue polls, okay? Without accurately analyzing what the campaign's failures were, and then claiming that the Democrats' fault is that they didn't go hard right enough is insane. That is so insane. If you go right, the Republicans will go even further right. They always have been able to outflank the Democratic Party on this stuff. And the question still remains, even if that was a successful message that won the election for you, do you really think that this is a good idea? Now, obviously, it wasn't successful regardless, so we don't even have to entertain that hypothetical. But if you were to entertain that hypothetical, even for a brief moment, if Kamala Harris was able to say, I'm the real border person, I'm going to fucking kill all the migrants myself. Don't trust Donald Trump. He's not serious enough about killing migrants and deporting them. I'm the real migrant killer. Do you actually want the Democratic Party to be the migrant mutilator party? Is that the smart thing to do? Even if that was a successful message, is that the future that we want to build for the United States of America? This is shocking. Whether the country went right or whether the Dems just ignored the population and wasn't focused on the issues, the solution is the same message better and offer voters something. Yes. What do you think of Brace Belden's theory that a lot of people lost their minds completely sometime around 2020? I agree. I really do. The idea that like Kamala Harris wasn't pro-Israel enough and the notion that like Jewish American voters only care about Israel is so fucking idiotic. 79% of Jews voted for Kamala Harris. 79%. And Kamala Harris was incredibly committed to Israel. It was the 9th priority for American Jews out of the top 10 priorities. 9th. Israel was the 9th priority. Why the fuck would it be number 1? They're literally American, okay? This argument is unironically the woke version of dual loyalty. Like liberals, because they get away with this when they're pro-Israel, say the most unhinged anti-Semitic shit. They're like, yeah, you know these Jews, they have dual loyalty to Israel. That's the one thing that they care about. It's like, no, that's not true. That's not fucking true. What the fuck? And yeah, speaking of this, Jonathan Greenblatt, we congratulate President Donald J. Trump, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance, and all the candidates who won last night. We look forward to working with the incoming administration, Congress, and all elected officials in pursuit of our 111-year-old mission to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and secure justice and fair treatment for all. We remain steadfastly committed to that timeless mission as we fight the torrent of anti-Semitism sweeping our society. Ben Lorber says, utter depravity. According to exit polls, 80% of American Jews voted for Harris. We are waking up horrified for our country and our communities. Did misogyny and racism have a factor in this? Is a question that a lot of people are going to be asking. Okay? The reality of the matter is, of course, it plays a role. But how significant of a role it plays is up to the campaign. Kamala Harris did a pretty good job of not doing the I'm with her nonsense, something that I also said was fantastic. It was smart, right? But beyond that, you have to overcome that hurdle, right? You can't just go, people are too racist and too misogynistic. I guess we can't ever elect a black woman is insane. That's an insane proposition. Do you understand? That's an insane proposition. That's an incredibly racist proposition to be like, sorry, we just simply cannot have a black woman run in this country. When you look at Mexico. Mexico is 98% Catholic. They elected a Jewish woman. They're more woke than we are. I wonder why that happened. Perhaps it was because people thought AMLO was very popular. And Claudia was AMLO's successor. How did that happen? Mexico elected Claudia Sheinbaum, a socialist Jewish woman. People don't give a fuck. If they believe you, if they believe that you are going to fight for them, they will vote for you. And they will reward you with votes. Okay? Over and over again. Elizabeth Slotkin defeated Mike Rogers to keep the Democratic control over critical Michigan Senate seat. At least there's that. All the takes are correct, and yet they also missed the point, says Jason Hickel. Yes, it was insane for the Democrats to think they could win by running a soulless candidate without a shred of progressive policy vision, pursuing endorsements from neocon war hawks everybody hates, while arming and funding a genocide and belittling crushing those who have enough morality to protest it. It is enraging that Democrats are so smug and blind to this. But these are just all symptoms. The deeper reality is that liberalism has failed. Liberalism is dead, and people urgently need to wake up to this fact and respond accordingly. It is a defunct ideology that cannot offer any meaningful solutions to our social and ecological crises, and it must be abandoned. I 100% agree with this. Liberalism has been an overt failure, and we are watching the failures of liberalism unfold in Europe as well. Our European allies are also going through that exact same problem right now. You have the rise of the fascist right in Germany with AfD. You have the rise of the fascist right in France. You have the rise of the fascist right everywhere in Europe. Liberalism is bringing about a damning wave of fascism. We have to wake the fuck up. If you do not provide adequate solutions and make a compelling case as to how you are going to earnestly fight to get those solutions passed to the material harm that everyone in the Western world, in the working class, is experiencing, you are going to let fascism win. And that is precisely what the Democrats are doing. Democrats have proven over and over again that they cannot accept even basic steps like public health care, affordable housing, and a public job guarantee, things that would dramatically improve the material, social, and political conditions of the working classes. And they cannot accept a public finance strategy that would steer production away from fossil fuels and towards green transition to give us a shot at a livable future. Why? Because these things run against the objectives of capital accumulation. And for liberals, capital is sacrosanct. They will do whatever it takes to ensure elite accumulation. It is their only consistent commitment. At home, they suppress and demonize progressive and socialist tendencies. Abroad, they engage in endless wars and violence to suppress input prices in the global south and prevent any possibility of sovereign economic development. The Democrats have done all of this purposely and knowingly for my whole life, not as some kind of mistake, but in full consciousness that it is in the interests of capital. This is why we say it is two sides of the same fucking coin. Okay? This does not mean that there are severe differences. One side is bouldering towards fascism, but the other side is absolutely allowing said fascism to win. Here is David Sirota's assessment from 1938. FDR's warning. The year before a fulminating Nazi rally in a packed Madison Square Garden in New York, FDR warned that the global rise of fascism was the result of democratic governments doing the opposite of the New Deal and protecting an economic status quo, enriching a tiny handful at the expense of everyone else. Democracy has disappeared in several other great nations, not because the people of those nations dislike democracy, but because they had grown tired of unemployment. They'd grown tired of insecurity, of seeing their children hungry, while they sat helpless in the face of government confusion and government weakness through lack of leadership. He said in a 1938 radio address, finally, in desperation, they chose to sacrifice liberty in the hope of getting something to eat. That is what is going on in the United States of America right now. That is what is going on in every Western nation that has seen a major, major growth in fascist movements, a rise of the fascist right, people who are overtly, openly white nationalist. In times of economic turmoil, when people are suffering, when wage growth is not outpacing inflation, when your dollar, when your take-home pay does not go the same distance as it once did, you are infinitely more susceptible, infinitely more vulnerable to right-wing propaganda. When you're angry and one side says, oh, don't be angry, the economy is rebounding, stupid, what the fuck? And the other side says, you're right to be angry. And who should you be angry at? Not the rich. Not Elon Musk, not the elites, not the billionaires. There are some good billionaires like Elon Musk. You should be angry at the fucking Mexicans. You should be angry at the undocumented migrants. You should be angry at the liberals who are putting trans people at the forefront of the campaign or whatever the fuck they're saying when they haven't done that. You should be angry at those who are weaker than you, and you should punish them. You should dominate them. And if we dominate them, then your life will get better. But their lives won't get better. Their lives will get worse. That's precisely what happened in the 4 years of the Trump administration, which, you know, due to a bunch of different circumstances, led to a literal carcass winning over Donald Trump by 42,000 votes in a couple states, but a win nonetheless. I think the other piece that liberals are not just dying, they're attacking the left on the way down. They realize right-wing movements are dominating everywhere because liberals have spent decades shitting on the left. Host of NBC's Morning Joe with Mika Brzezinski, dressed in black for the occasion, engaged in a real honest conversation about why Kamala Harris lost. A lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates. They don't like each other.
Really quickly, too.
Yeah, let's do further race wars without accurately analyzing what the fuck is going on. This seems good.
Democrats need to be mature, and they need to be honest. And they need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. Mm-hmm. It's misogyny from Hispanic men.
Right.
It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about, who do not want a woman leading them. Might be race issues with Hispanics. They don't want a black woman as president of the United States. You know, the Democratic Party, I've always found when you're sitting around talking, they love to just sort of balkanize everybody into these separate groups and say, oh, white people don't like women and black people. No, it is time for the Democrats to say, okay, and you and I have talked about this before, a lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Right.
A lot
and
of,
with other Hispanics. You got some that don't like each other. And some of the most misogynist things I've heard.
Nah, I'm done, dude. Nah, these guys are so, they're so fucking annoying. They're looking for a comfortable narrative. And of course, the most comfortable narrative in a country like the United States of America is still going to be instilling racial animus and racial division. Okay? It's so fucking annoying. It's so goddamn annoying. How is this any different than like Fox News at this point? Notice how they never have the same fucking smoke for white men, which overwhelmingly vote for Republicans. Instead, they yell at black men, Hispanic men, Arabs on the left. Yeah, it's just disgusting. It is disgusting, and it is a dying fucking ideological movement. I said this last night. I told you, liberals are going to get real fucking racist with it. They're so one note. They're so goddamn one note. White men, 74%. 74% of white men. White women, 69%. AOC said this in 2020 and also seems very prescient looking at the results. But the ending of the story is the same no matter which man wins. America is still in a lot of trouble, warns AOC. There's a temptation to view Trump as an aberration, she says, rather than a wake-up call to the failures of the American government at large. Under a President Biden, if his life doesn't feel different, she points to a cab driver whizzing by our table. If their life doesn't feel different, she gestures to people walking by the beauty shop and Bengali halal grocery. If these people's lives don't actually feel different, now she's giving a stump speech over her omelet. We're done. You know how many Trumps there are in waiting? She's tired of incremental change. Bullshit little 10% tax cut, she says. I think, honestly, a lot of my dissent within the Democratic Party comes from my lived experience. It's not just that we can do better. It's that we have to be better. We're not good enough right now. It's okay to hate women as long as you put white in front of it. Yawn. I don't know which race this is from. I don't think this is the overall national race, though, the numbers that you guys presented me. Especially because I just saw fucking 69% of white women. I don't think 69% of white women by national percentages went to Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. It's got to be Georgia, right? Yeah, well, Georgia is important, though, because that is where she was supposed to have that impact. That is where she was supposed to have that impact. She went into the suburbs, right? She was supposed to win over the fucking suburbs. What happened? That was what that method was for. And look at that. And I told you this as well. If white women don't break for Kamala Harris, she loses. And they didn't.